We want the witch. Throw her out or we'll tell your wife. Fine, here she is. Witch, give us the names. I'll never give you the names. Give us the names, witch, or we'll hurt you. You can't hurt me more than I've hurt you. Witch, we will burn you. Go ahead, burn me. Do your worst. Burn the witch. That's fine. I'll see you in hell. Natty Knox was directed by Dwight H. Little, who's done a lot of television, and also movies like Tekken, Anaconda, Mike Hunts for the Blood Orchid. I think that was the name of the movie. Murder at 1600. That had Wesley Snipes investigating a murder at the White House, and all I remember about that movie was the opening where a woman got her opening pounded on a desk. Ha ha ha. That was about the only thing I remembered about that. Nevertheless, he also did Halloween 4, where everybody got on the floor and watched Michael Myers do the dinosaur and then stab them repeatedly. At least it wasn't happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, sail the shamrock. At least we didn't get that. So anyway, yeah, Dwight H. Little has done a lot of stuff. He kept himself busy, and also this was written by Benjamin Olsen, who co-produced this movie. This is his feature writing credit. You know what? Good. Wish him nothing but success. However, you gotta get your foot in the goddamn door and keep the door from closing on your goddamn foot and ending up like Carrie Von Erich after June of '86. God, that just went out of nowhere and off the goddamn rails on a motorcycle barefoot into a parked police car. So anyway, yeah, Natty Knox. Basically, there is a young lady that was killed violently, and now she haunts this particular town. And also, there's a serial killer on the loose, and you have Britt, played by Charlotte Fountain Jardin, who, she's babysitting a teenage boy named Wyatt, played by Thomas Robbie, and also Jolie, played by Channing Zatang. And she is taking care of the needs of these children because Diane, who's played by the incredibly talented and very, very horror-centric and incredibly gorgeous Danielle Harris, who I have loved for a number of years. She's ageless, she's personable in interviews, and she's reuniting with Dwight H. Little, considering Halloween 4 was where she pretty much got her start. I mean, she really had launched to her career because of that. I mean, that was certainly an interesting, way of going about it. So, anyway, no, I love me some Danielle Harris. So when I saw she was in this, I'm like, okay, the poster looked kind of weird. I was like, all right. We got a babysitter. She's trying to protect the children that she cares, even though, honestly, I think the teenage boy that she's babysitting is about the same age as her. But there's also a friend named Robbie. That must have been really confusing on set. Robbie, we need you here. Me, Robbie, or he, Robbie? Or I'm Robbie. No, not from the Highlanders. Deep cut for wrestling fans. So basically, Britt, it was just trying to help Diane pick up the pieces. Pick up the pieces. Diane is a realtor. She works for Robert Englund, believe it or not. Robert Englund is in this. Okay, that's good. Freddy Krueger, he's actually a pretty good actor in all honesty. He's typecast basically being in horror, but hey, he was great in Urban Legend as a teacher. They should give him more roles like that. That being said, Diane is desperate to sell a particular house that has a really, really dark, sordid past. And it won't be easy. The main plot of this movie, such as it is, has Britt discovering that a classmate went missing. And let's just say that things aren't going all that well because after Wyatt and Robbie try to do something to make some quick cash, they end up spying on a particular, incident at a house where there is a killer that has seemingly beaten a woman and now has taken her hostage or possibly dismembered her or possibly sent her soul into the afterlife. They don't really know, but even though they try to do their best to report this, let's just say it won't be easy. And now this particular killer is coming after them. Britt must do everything she can to protect them and prevent them from being the next and possibly final targets. They must turn back the challenge of this killer. That's the plot. I will tell you right now that as far as paying homage to the Halloween franchise, this just takes and hacks off heaps of flesh from the Halloween franchise corpse. And I will say that this is by no means the worst horror movie I've seen this year. This isn't even close. I will say, however, as far as how cliched it is and how one-note the characters are and how not scary it is, and only taking it as a dark comedy, you might get a little bit of enjoyment out of that last one. If you go in just completely wide open thinking that it might be entertaining, but just keep in mind that none of the characters really have any proper motivations and do a lot of stupid shit. That's about, the size of it. There's effort in here at times, but it's also incredibly messy. It tries for a few twists and turns and just ends up basically losing what little plot it had. And also, yeah, there are some times where I'm just like, okay, that was the best take they had. I'd hate to see what the busted takes were. And some hilarious kills, ridiculous revelations. It had a few too many things in the pot. They were stirring it up and everything, and then they just plopped it out, and it was just a lot of goo. It was goo stew, as it were. It was not goo stew dolls, nevertheless. It just ended up being an overall mess. That's really all I have to say right there. It is on Tubi if you want to check it out. I am going to get into spoilers. But yeah, can't necessarily recommend. But that being said, maybe you guys will end up liking it. It may end up entertaining you guys. It entertained me at times, but for all the wrong reasons, because it really wasn't very good. But that being said, I hope everybody can, do more projects. Also, if you took Charlotte and Danielle and put them side by side, at the ages they are now, you could have mother and daughter. If you took Danielle at the same age as Charlotte is now, they could have been sisters. It's like listening to a mirror, as Guy Ledouche said in MXC. That's it. I'm going to get into spoilers. Spoilers really will not take very long outside of a few things I want to talk about. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Now, they open with this guy nailing and choking this woman, Natty, and basically she ends up getting burned alive in an absolutely hilarious scene by these wives where it's supposed to take place in 1976, and they had the orange credits and the pumpkin and all that stuff, and it was great. And yeah, that wasn't the best beginning. That was like really, really bad. I mean, I'm not even saying that the actors are bad, but just the takes they put on there were not very good. That being said, the one that played the young Natty, she was pretty attractive. So let's see what else she can do. Then they end up focusing on the children, who are going through some things. The divorce. Jolie just wants to have her dad there. He's kind of a full-on absolute dick. And also, after witnessing this particular murder while trying to get some copper wire, Wyatt and Robbie end up kind of branching off and doing their own thing. And it's absolutely hilarious how they do nothing. They have to go to a payphone because Wyatt's cell phone is out of minutes and he doesn't have the money. That's why they were getting the copper wire to do that stuff. Diane is trying to sell off this house that has this dark, dark past. And the whole idea of Natty knocks is supposed to be you knock 9 times and then Natty appears. And that's been this curse thing. That was something that could have actually worked. It would have been a goofy ghost story, goofy demon story, and they didn't even end up going anywhere with that. They went the goofy demon route, but they went even goofier than I expected. So, this killer that has the name of Abner Honeywell, but actually is Nate Knox. He is the son of Natty. He is doing her bidding, basically. That's what he ends up doing. And it is revealed in the most hilarious and ridiculous fashion. He kidnaps this young lady and tortures her, makes her watch some movies. The idea is Natty basically possesses him every time he watches these movies, and he has to go out and do these things. He survived a fire at an institution, assumed the name of a guy that is a cop. That's why he can get everywhere and do all this stuff, but Nate is a terrible cop. So much so that this one detective that apparently just, realized, hey, wait a second, that guy ain't right. I need to go do something about this. That detective gets killed at a Halloween party later in the film, absolutely hilariously. And meanwhile, Robbie is dealing with some stuff like, his mother has a boyfriend, AJ, I'm not actually AJ, I think is how it's said. And that guy buys a copper wire from him. That guy gets talked to by the cops a little bit later about it, gets himself out of it, and then has a hilarious scene with the cop, with Nate, where Nate is trying to get Robbie, and then this guy gets, Robbie away, and then he's breaking his fingers. What kind of cop are you? And he's snapping his fingers. I'm a bad cop. And that was the take they went with, ladies and gentlemen. It was really bad. Danielle Harris is not given much to do in this. It's disappointing because she actually can be good and can offer a lot to horror. There was one point with Britt and her boyfriend, a guy named Rick. He end up stumbling over the word Debbie, which these things happen. It was like, hey, I had said Debbie in a weird way. Should we cut? Keep rolling. Really? The whole thing about the films was that it was supposed to be him being possessed by her, but we sort of get that interpretation and it's forgotten about. It's just totally dropped. Robert Englund explains the history of the Knox house going back to the 1800s. Natty was cast out because they were a good Christian family. She went and did some drive-in, slasher movie stuff. She ends up pregnant, so we're going straight Maureen Prescott from Scream 3, just without Scott Foley in it. Legit getting stabbed by an ice pick. No wonder he was crying in pain so much. I was crying in pain while watching this because, again, by no means the worst horror movie I've seen. Not even cracking the top 15, but there was wasted potential in this, and it also felt very lazy. It felt like while everybody was trying, there was about this much material, and they stretched it out for 94 minutes. So, yeah, Nate didn't die. Nate kills Robert Englund. Very, very funny scene. Robert Englund tumbles out the goddamn stairs. He apparently either owns a house, or he was a lover of Natty's, or maybe he's possibly the father of Nate. I honestly don't really give a shit at this point. But then, the funniest part was you have Britt explain to a cop what happened. Like, all this stuff. Explains the stuff about the copper wire, all this. Then you have this cop that, you have Abner, Nate, pull her over for a busted taillight to expired tabs. And then Wyatt lays on this whole thing about the copper wire, all this stuff and everything. Or not the copper wire, but everything but that. Just all this stuff going on, everything. And even though he's clearly guilty as fuck, he manages to get Nate to leave him alone. And Jolie's freaking out and everything. And spills all this stuff after the cop's back in his car. But she's yelling so loud that the cop could have heard her in his sleep across town. And I don't know why that scene made me laugh. I mean, everybody tried, and some were either overacting or just acting to the point where it was nuts. But the good killer, the good cop, bad cop thing, that whole thing where the detective gets axed was funny. And then we're 20 minutes left. Diane has been captured by this point because she went to the house to try and inspect some stuff. And then she got tased because the guy has cop stuff. And then Britt ends up captured. We have just a few minutes left. That AJ or AJ guy, whatever, he's back. Robbie's there. They team up with Wyatt, and they're going to take down this guy. And they can't even do that correctly. They manage to get down to the basement, even after Wyatt gets tased and seemingly should have pissed himself and probably not been up so goddamn soon, but I guess he wasn't tased long enough. Britt ends up opening her eyes at the wrong time during this film and gets possessed by the goddamn ghost of Natty. No, really. But Nate has the demonic force, ghost force of Natty in him, barfs her up, and it's so funny. It's so goddamn funny. Because he does this, and then she just runs, races around and everything, just goofy special effects. And Daniel Harris, has shot the guy just before this. And Britt seemingly goes out with him. They argue a little bit, and then they get out of the way of this fire. This fire in this basement that I guess everybody somehow put out. But then it goes full Halloween Kills by doing a stupid cut back to the house. And then it almost goes a little bit, I Know What You Did Last Summer, with something under the bed. It just is an amalgamation of a whole bunch of ridiculous stuff. Britt is now possessed by Natty's ghost. She's brushing her hair like this. Wyatt and Robbie are trying to get in there to save her, I guess, somehow. I don't know what they're going to do. And she slinks under the bed, and that's it. That's the end of the movie. No, really, that's the end of the goddamn movie. I didn't expect much, and Jesus goddamn Christ. Still, not even close to the worst thing I've seen this year, but gee, any potential it had was just totally washed away by a lot of really bad decisions and not very creative scares and everything. So yeah, I'm sorry, it gets an F. It gets an absolute F. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rutland. I'll see you soon.